let us start the talks from our own Dr. Srinivas Jammalamadaka garu. Srinivas Jammalamadaka garu is a Shastra scholar with titles in Nyaya and Advaita Vedanta. He is a student of Shishya, I should say. Student is an English word. He is a Shishya of none other than Dravid Shastri. And he passed out Tenali Pariksha with wonderful titles. He is a treasure to the entire Indic knowledge systems today all over India, because he and his elder brother, Jammalamadaka Suryanarayana Garu, both of them have a very rare combination of English education before getting into Shastra education. Because of that, they have a wonderful command not only on English language, but also on the way the presentations are done, analysis is done from the contemporary side. And he is going to talk about Rajeshwar Shastri Dravid Ji's responses to the criticisms of political thought, legal thought of India.
Thank you, sir.
His topic is titled as Exploring Political Thought, a critique through Mahamahopadhyaya Rajeshwar Dravid Shastri Ji's works. Over to you, Srinivas garu.
Thank you, sir. Shuklam Bharadharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadaram Dhyayet Sarvavighnopashantye Ajnanatimiraandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namaste, and thank you for this opportunity. So whenever Paturi sir comes, I mean, he calls me, he'll give me a task and a challenge many a times, and many a times that will be adding up to my research, and I'll be knowing many new things. Similarly, for today's talk also, it was Acharya's this thing. So today I'll be talking based on the work titled Paschatya-Bharatiya-Rajanityoh Samalochanam by Pandita Rajeshwar Shastri Dravid Ji, where he very meticulously critiqued some of the digested political thought, comparing with the Western and the Bharatiya political thought. So I'll just try to give a small context why he had to author this work. So initially in the 1940s, at the time of 1940s, upon the request of the then Vice-Chancellor of Varanasi Sanskrit University, which is now called Professor Gowrinatha Shastri Ji was the Vice-Chancellor, and he requested Rajeshwar Shastri Acharya Dravid Ji to teach Rajaniti Shastra to a couple of students, so that we have to revive the tradition of Rajaniti Shastra. And in the due course, they felt that a comparative study of the Western and the Bharatiya Rajaniti Shastras would be helpful for a better understanding of Rajaniti for contemporary times. The comparative study with the students was a bit heavy for the students. So understanding this, Acharya did an independent research and came up with the lectures that were digestible to the students. So to distill the Bharatiya Siddhanta on Rajaniti, Rajeshwar Shastri Dravid Ji felt that it was important to know the contemporary political thought that was available in India. So for this, he had studied the work of Sri Ananta Sadashiva Altekar, who is also known as Professor A.S. Altekar. His work titled Prachina Bharatiya Shasana Paddhati, which was initially authored in Hindi, and that same work was afterwards published in English as State and Government of Ancient India by the same. He actually came up, we even find European political thought, Western, in those days, what was contemporary, that political thought, and even some even what was ancient India's political thought was also discussed. So Professor Altekar ji was a historian and archaeologist from Maharashtra, and there are some other works of his was prehistoric times to present India, education in ancient India, history of Banaras, and so on and so forth. So Professor Altekar's opinions in the state and the government in ancient India are critically of Altekar's views, and in some places he provided a nuanced explanation from the shastric lens. So it's not that the work is totally rebutting or refuting Altekar ji's opinions, but many a times he comes in and says that Professor Altekar ji's explanation will not suffice in this context, so therefore I will add upon this. So many a times he even accepts some parts of Altekar ji's views, he even adds value to them from the shastric lens. So Vishwanatha Shastri Datar ji, who has compiled this, opines that the opinions of Professor Altekar ji in his work as Bharatiya and are not truly Bharatiya. So there are namesake Bharatiya, but not truly Bharatiya is what he opines. So this work is also designed in such a way that it doesn't miss clarity and precision. So the opinions of Altekar ji is also summarized in Hindi in a very crisp manner. So therefore, we find two divisions of the work is divided, designed in such a way that there is one Purva Paksha, which is under the subheading called Moolam. That is the Altekar ji's viewpoint. And there comes a Samikshanam. Under the heading of Samikshanam, Rajeshwar Shastri Dravid ji gives his opinion or his refute, whatever he wishes to explain. It is given under the this thing called a Samikshanam. So therefore, it is very crystal clear what is the Purva Paksha and what is the Siddhanta. So here today, I tried to map the Purva Paksha, the Moola Bhaga, from the original work of state and government in ancient India. So I've taken 3 examples from 2 chapters. And I'll try to explain what Rajeshwar Shastri Ji's response was. So from the chapter 1, of Altekar ji, saying that like many thinkers of modern times, some Indian writers like behind the state is force. So therefore, it is the force or adhara for state. So here here Shastri ji, Rajeshwar Shastri ji refutes that it must be clarified. Atredam vivektavyam nahi rajasattayaha dandaha balaprayogaha va antimaha adharaha ityuchyate. So it must be clarified that punishment or danda is not the ultimate foundation of political power. Instead, he quotes Kamandak Niti Sara's commentary called Jayamangala. Tyagaha satyancha shauryancha traya ete mahagunaha and jananuraga prabhavahi sampadaha. So therefore, Tyaga, Satya and Shaurya are 3 great virtues which are the foundations of power. And Jananuraga Prabhavahi Sampadaha. He even states that prosperity arises from the affection of the people. So from these statements, it is evident that the Indian political theory, the primary focus that generate political power are these 3 virtues that are Tyaga, Satya and Shaurya, which predominantly fall under the domain of Sama strategies. So we have 4 strategies: Sama, Dana, Bheda and Dandopaya. And in 4 of these 3 actually gunas will come under Sama. The proper order and functioning of the society and is not the primary foundation. So that is the initial understanding. And then tatrapi yukta danda prasasyate. And which kind of a danda? There could be different kinds of danda. So it could be harsh, it could be very soft. What kind of a danda that is actually useful is yukta danda. So yukta danda is just punishment, the punishment which is just, which is very proper in nature. This punishment serves as an punishment is appropriate for a particular offense, to whom it should be applied or by whom it should be administered, requires a nuanced understanding. He needs to know. Samichinah, kahadandaha, kashtadandaha, samichinah iti yuktatva, ayuktatva vivechanam, lokashastro sahayena vidheyam. So, it should be guided by Lokashastra and Niti Shastra, that is the political science. And based on this, again, Taduktam, Lokashastranurago, Gneyo, Dandaha, Anudvejana Kriyaha, Anudvejana Shriye. Again, from another quote, the principles of Lokashastra and causes no distress leads to prosperity. So, therefore, punishment imposed by individuals who are selfless, well versed in Lokashastra, and free from flaws such as raga, dvesha, and moha is considered to be praiseworthy. So that is what he says. Evancha swartha rahitaha ye lokashastra vidah purushaha mohad dosha shunya drishtya vihitaha dandah prashasyate prashantaye cha kalpate iti bhavaha. So therefore, such punishment contributes to the societal peace and harmony. And therefore, the same thought in Bharavi's Kiratarjuniya. So is Bharavi's famous work, where we find this verse, Vasuni vanchanna vashina manyuna swadharma ityeva nivritta karanaha grupadishtena ripausute piva vihanti dandena sadharma viplavam. So a person who is desiring vasuni, that is wealth, without, he should be vashi, navashi, manyuna navashi, without being swayed by anger, adheres to the duty as the sole motivation. Swadharma ityeva nivritta karanaha. Even when direct, he administers punishment on an enemy or even on son. Ripausute piva nihanti dandavam sadharma viplavam nihanti dharma viplavam. So this kind of a danda, which is yukta danda, which will prevent disruption of dharma. So therefore, Rajeshwar Shastri Ji very clearly states that the danda is not the foundation for political thought, but the foundations of a proper governance is said to be Tyaga, Satya, and Shaurya. And in the first chapter itself, in some other context, historical literary critique is done, where Altekar ji says systematic literature on what we may call the science of polity does not go back to a time earlier than 500 BC. So this is the opinion of Altekar ji, where Rajeshwar Shastri Ji responds by saying that in Taitriya Brahmana, we have a Mantrarthavada which starts with Rajatva Varuno, so on and so forth. There is a Mantrarthavada where a mention of royal crown being offered to Indra is being described. So therefore, if the essence of political science had not been understood by the Vedic scholars prior to the past 500 years of their time, how could such extensive discussions on the subject have been incorporated into the Vedic literature? So he says that वैदिकैः यद्यवगतं न स्यात् तर्हि उक्तवाङ्मयं वेदे कथम् उपपद्यते इति विदां कुर्वन्तु. He says that scholars should contemplate on this. And furthermore, he states as किञ्च इमामेव परम्परां पर्याप्तिः दुर्घट राजकार्यादि निश्चयः इति. So furthermore, reflecting on the same this thing, the commentary of Sayanacharya on the Rudra mantra, that is the it is a very famous Rudradhyaya. So there is this mantra Matischame Sumatischame. So Sayanacharya does the commentary of Mati as Padartha Matra Nishchayaha, which refers to determination of individual entities, and Sumatihi is Durghata Rajakaryad Nishchayaha, which refers to the resolution of complex matters such as state affairs. So this actually elucidates the profound understanding and contemplation of governance and decision making found in Vedic tradition. And not only this, furthermore, in the Chandogya Upanishad, where Sanat Kumara addressing Narada asks, "What have you studied? And tell me, and then I will instruct you further." In response, Narada says, अध्येमि यजुर्वेदं सामवेदम् अथर्वणं राशिवेदं निधिं वाको वाक्यम ekayanam, and so on and so forth. So here the word ekayana is to be focused upon. So in this context, Shankaracharya's commentaryamiti अस्य अर्थः नीतिशास्त्रं शाङ्करभाष्ये कृतः सोऽयमर्थः भगवत्पूज्यपादैः विवृतः इति न स्वयं काल्पनिकः अपि तु वेदकालादारभ्य पूर्वपरम्परा प्राप्तत्वेन विवृतः अस्ति. So Shankara's comment, so this meaning has been further elaborated upon by Bhagavatpada, so that establishing that this interpretation rather a tradition that is rooted in the Vedic period and passes down through generations. The term Ekayana would otherwise remain obscure. So moreover, in the texts predating Shankaracharya's commentary also, such as Purana and Matsya Purana, as well as Bhagavad Gita, numerous references to governance and political science appear, including phrases like Niti Rasmi Jigishatam. So I am the Niti for whoever is seeking victory, and Jayaha Asmi Vyavasayaha Asmi. So I am Jaya. So the term Rajaniti is mentioned hundreds of times. So thus the antiquity of political science literature and its transmission through ancient traditions is firmly established. So therefore he refutes the notion of saying that BC we do not find any literature to related to political thought is not right. And in another chapter, in chapter 4, while discussing the relations between the state and the citizen, he opines that the political science seeks mainly to define the mutual rights of the two parties. Hindu constitutional writers have approached the problem from quite a different point of view. They usually describe to be inferred from the latter. Similarly, they discuss the duty of the citizens, from which we are to indirectly infer the extent of the control point of view of rights of either party. So this is the view that Altekar ji have, description of the relation between the authority and its subjects is what he says. Dravid ji says that Rajaniti Kovidaihi Prachina Bharatiyaihi Nitisarasya चतुर्दशतम पंचदशतम सर्गेषु सर्वमपि राज्यांतर्गतानां प्रत्येकस्य गुणसम्पदः कर्माणि व्यवसायानि कार्यव्यवसायानि. In Nitisaras chapter 4, 14 and 15, the Bharatiya political thinkers meticulously analyzed every aspect of state administration and categorized them into 7 components, which is called a saptanga of a state. For each of these components, they detailed the essential qualities, functions, vulnerabilities, and potential challenges or crises that are associated with them. In light of such comprehensive discussions, what scope remains to question the authority of the king or the rights of people as defined within ancient political science? So he says, Tatra upavarnita atiriktaha kidrishaha rajadhikarah prajayaha adhikaro va avashishtosti. What is left? And he also further asks, Yasya anupadeshena prachina rajaniti shastresu nyunatvam under whose guidance or teaching could the ancient political sciences be deemed incomplete? So in fact, he says, Kim bahuna adhunika rajaniti grantheshu upavarnita prajayaha rajnyaha rajnyo va adhikaraha api prachina rajaniti shastreshu samavishtaha bhavati iti mantavyam ityalam atipal of the king, extensively discussed in modern political texts, are addressed in the ancient treatises of political science. So hence it should be understood that Indian Bharatiya political science encompassed these aspects comprehensively, making further elaboration is unnecessary. So therefore, in such a way, very meticulously, Acharya provides us his viewpoints. Many a times it could be rebuttals, and many times it is adding a nuance to the Altekar ji's viewpoint. I would यदत्र सौष्ठवं किंचित् तद्गुरोरेव मे नहि यदत्र असौष्ठवं किंचित् यदत्र असौष्ठवं किंचित् तन् ममैव न मे गुरोः. If there are any virtues, those belong to my guru, and if there are any shortcomings, those belong to me and not my gurus. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Srinivas Garu. Wonderful coverage of Rajeshwar Shastri Dravid Garu's coverage of political thought. Can you, for the benefit of the audience, can you give the background of Rajeshwar Shastri Dravid Garu in Shastras so that they know that originally he is a Nyaya scholar?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So Rajeshwar Shastri Dravid Ji is the maternal grandfather of my guru Mani Dravid Shastri Ji. And he is a stalwart especially in the Shastric circles. He is known for his works in Nyaya Shastra, and he has compiled many important texts such as Sankhya Tattva Kaumudi, whichever is now available. The first compilation was done by him, and not only that, he has even done a lot of work in for relating to Nyaya Kusumanjali, or even he was the person who has even completed the commentary called Ramarudri upon the commentary called Dinakari of Muktavali. So Ramarudri is a very important commentary in the introductory texts of Nyaya Shastra, which was incomplete, and it was Rajeshwar Shastri Dravidji who has completed that commentary. So therefore he is even I was also astonished to see Rajeshwar Shastri Dravidji's name under Rajaniti Shastra texts. Afterwards I found that he has done a lot of work, even bringing what you call publishing, editing and publishing Kamandaka Nitisara with two Vyakyas called Jayamangala. His name. So two important commentaries were edited by him, and he has done an extensive work in Rajaniti, is what I understood afterwards. So he is a scholar of authority in Nyaya, Vedanta, and other Sankhya Shastra also. By the works that he has done, we know that. And afterwards, upon the need of the time, that he felt that the Shastric community also have to again establish the tradition of Rajaniti, which is very much important. So that is Rajeshwar Shastri.
Srinivas Garu, can you just throw some light on the connection between Karapatre Swamiji's work and Rajeshwar Shastri Dravidji's work?
Pranav Vasishthaji is more,
yeah,
I
he is
think, an
going to
authority
cover
on
that.
Karapatri Swamiji's
Yeah,
work.
he is going to cover the
Yeah.
Karapatre
So as far as I
Swamiji's.
know, so I think these are independent approaches, is what I feel. And I think even Karpatri Swamiji's responses were a bit later to Rajeshwar Shastri Dravidji's works, is what I infer. I think give a bit more clarity upon that, because I haven't gone through Karpatri Swamiji's work in depth. But the response I see is very intense, similar to what Rajeshwar Shastri Ji's response is also. So they have done a lot of work.
Wonderful, wonderful.